Hi there, this is Tata with 3 Years of Wrestling being the Wrestling Time Post Show, and for tonight, I will be reviewing AEW Rampage and Friday Night Smackdown. Okay, so let's kick things off with AEW Rampage, which kicked off with Matt Hardy versus Darby Allin. This was a good match, I liked it. Of course, we all know Darby Allin took on Jeff Hardy previously, so I was looking forward to this match. So, of course, both men shake hands at the start of the match as a sign of respect. Darby Allin sending Matt Hardy crashing into the steel steps. And then Darby Allin with the swanton on the ring apron to Matt. But he moves. So Darby Allin hits the ring apron. Matt Hardy with the powerbomb to Darby Allin, spine first into the ring post. And I really sorry about that, I apologize. I really like that code red that Darby Allin did to Matt Hardy. But Darby ends up winning this when he hits the last supper to Matt Hardy. Alright, so then after the match is over, the lights go out. And Brody King and Julia Hart come out and attack Matt Hardy. While Julia Hart's standing on one side of the ring, and Brody King attacks Matt Hardy. So then Brody King calls out Sting and Darby Allin. He basically starts to say how there's plenty of venom left in the fangs, and next week he wants Sting and Darby Allin in a no DQ match. And so then the lights go out. So Sting and Darby Allin come out, and as they're attacking poor Matt Hardy, and so the lights go out again, and Brody King and Julia Hart leave, and Darby and Sting check on poor Matt Hardy. Sorry, guys, I thought their feud was over, but I guess not. But I'm sure that no DQ match is going to be good, but I think that might be the end of the feud. I don't know where either House of Black and Sting and Darby go from there. So you get the Claudio Castagnoli promo. He comes out to the ring, and he starts talking about how the championship that he has represents honor, while the logo of the BCC is a new symbol of excellence. He says BCC is a team, a family, and they make each other better. He says that despite the fact that Wheeler Yuta lost to Daniel Garcia, the best lessons in life is when you lose. And he knows that someday Wheeler Yuta will win the title again. So he says that last week he defended against Harwood, and that next week it's going to be a good week for the BCC. And he was not surprised that it came down to Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley in the finals. He says iron sharpens iron, and we'll guarantee that the BCC will have 2 world champions in its ranks. So Chris Jericho, you guys know Chris Jericho does commentary for Rampage. So he comes off commentary, and he interrupts Claudio Castagnoli and asks him if he's forgotten about JAS. He says he's a 7-time world champion, and Jericho starts denying that he tapped out, which I think it's funny. And he starts to name the promotions he's been champion. He says he's been champion in WWF, WWE, and WCW. And he was the first world champion in AEW, but he's never been champion in Ring of Honor. So he says that he's going for the Ocho, and he wants the Ocho. And Jericho officially challenges Claudio Castagnoli for the Ring of Honor World Championship on Wednesday. And Claudio tells him that this has been a moment he's been waiting for a long time, and it's going to beat the hell out of Jericho. So I'm actually really excited for looking forward to that match. I like Chris Jericho, but I don't think he's going to get the Ocho. I think Claudio Castagnoli is going to get the better of him, honestly. But what did you guys think of this match? What did you guys think? Chris Jericho versus Claudio Castagnoli. Are you guys excited for it? Are you guys looking forward to it? Let me know in the comments or in the live chat. All right. So then we got Jade Cargill segment. And she basically starts to say, who's left? Like, who's left? And she says she isn't running a circus, and she had to get rid of that clown. So I'm assuming she's talking about Stokely Hathaway. And says that the Amante shows up, and she challenges Jade Cargill and promises to bring the OG baddie. So I'm assuming she's talking about Mercedes Martinez, because she does call herself the OG badass. So I'm assuming it's Mercedes Martinez. I can't think of anybody else. But As much as even if she does bring Mercedes Martinez with her, I don't think she's winning. I don't think Diamante is winning. Honestly, at the way that this is going, if Chris Statlander is going to be the one who beats her, because I can't think of anybody else who would be capable of beating Jade Cargill, I think they're going to wait until Jade Cargill gets to 50, and then they're going to have her lose her undefeated streak. So we got Penelope Ford versus Willow Nightingale, which wasn't a bad match. Chris Jericho naming Penelope Ford his sports entertainer of the week. He says that Ford impressed him. He doesn't impress easily. Oh my god, that is hilarious. And Penelope Ford wins this by submission. So we come to find out that next week we're going to have the Golden Ticket Battle Royal, where the winner gets a championship opportunity at the world title at a set date and time. Hangman starts apologizing for screwing up the match at All Out. Alex Reynolds says he understands that it was an accident. And John Silver says he's going to feel like he's at the chocolate factory with the golden ticket. And then Jose, the assistant, appears, and he says it's a sad but familiar story with the Dark Order. They take a chance on Hangman, and he disappoints them. And then Rush is there. He says he's going to eliminate all of their asses. But to Hangman, he says it in Spanish, though. He calls him a vaquero no puede. He's basically saying a cowboy can't handle the bull, and he's going to destroy him. Well, actually, he calls him a dog. So it always sounds better and funnier when they say it in Spanish. But when you directly translate it, it just doesn't sound as good. So then we have Danhausen versus All Ego Ethan Page. This was a fun match. This is a squash match, but it was a fun little match. My favorite part was Ethan Page copying Danhausen. It was hilarious. It really was. Like, I'm serious. It was freaking hilarious. I mean, that was the best part of the match. But in all seriousness, though, I really hope this is a year that I really hope now that Ethan Page is with the firm. I hope he wins some gold. He needs to win some gold. He's been in AEW for a year now. He has yet to win some championship gold. So I really hope he wins his first title in the firm. If he doesn't win it, I don't know what's going to happen. So then we have a Ricky Starks promo. He's basically talking about how Powerhouse Hobbs now has his full undivided attention. And he's going to personally see him in New York. So it's not over between Hobbs and Starks, even though Hobbs defeated Starks. This is going to keep going. I don't know when, but it's probably going to culminate in a big match. That's because Danhausen and Ethan Page are close buddies in real life. Yeah, I'm sure you know. Yeah, I'm sure they are. But that shit was hilarious. I cannot wait to hear your opinion on this, on Danhausen and Ethan Page. So as always, before the start of every main event, we always get a little promo. So it's Josh Woods and Samoa Joe going at it. Josh Woods saying is that every day you get to stand across the person who influenced your style. And Sterling says that Josh will be a fighting champion since he's been fighting week after week. Meanwhile, Samoa Joe has been on vacation. And Samoa Joe says that he hasn't been on vacation, and that at the end of the match, they're going to come to a clear and concise understanding as who is ROH TV champion. So we find out that next week Rampage is a special 2-hour Rampage. And some of the I don't know if these are the participants. I don't think so. I think it's probably just the 4 main ones. It's going to be Hangman Adam Page, Penta Cero Miedo, Jay Lethal, and Lance Archer. So it's just 4 of them. I don't know who else is going to be a part of it, but those are just the 4 that they showed on the thumbnail. So our main event is the ROH TV Championship match. It's Samoa Joe versus Josh Woods. And, of course, the Code of Honor is observed. I really like the back and forth strikes between both men. Woods using those knees to Samoa Joe, Josh Woods' amateur background really showed in this match. It really did, because he did all sorts of strikes and knees to Samoa Joe. Of course, Mark Sterling and Tony Nese attempted to cause a distraction. But in the end, it didn't matter because Samoa Joe hit the muscle buster to Josh Woods, and Samoa Joe ended up being victorious. At post-match, Josh Woods and Tony Nese attack Samoa Joe, and Mark Sterling was about to hit Joe with the title, but Wardlow comes out. And there is this, and you can see Samoa Joe holding on to Sterling's leg so that he won't escape, but Tony Nese manages to save him. And my favorite spot of this is when Wardlow and Samoa Joe stare at each other, and he showed up their titles. Like, Wardlow versus Samoa Joe is actually a match I would not mind seeing. I really wouldn't mind seeing that. But, and would it be like, it doesn't need a belt. That match, you don't need a belt for that, but I wouldn't mind seeing it. But with that being said, that concludes this Rampage review. So, with Rampage, I thought it was a decent Rampage. I liked Matt Hardy versus Darby Allin. I really liked the Claudio Castagnoli promo. Jade Cargill, it's always the same thing with her. It's kind of like, I don't want to compare it to Roman Reigns, but it's kind of like how Roman always does the same shtick every week. Same thing with Jade Cargill. She's undefeated, so of course she's getting too cocky, which I feel like is going to be her downfall. Penelope Ford versus Willow Nightingale was okay. The Dark Order segment I really liked. Danhausen versus All Eagle, I like that. Josh Woods versus Samoa Joe, I like too. So with that, I would probably give this Rampage, I think it was a decent Rampage. So I'd give it, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. A pretty decent Rampage going into Grand Slam next week. So Rampage is done. And now it's time to talk about everyone's favorite Friday night show, Friday Night Smackdown, which kicked off with a Logan Paul segment. Now, Roman Reigns was a special guest on Logan Paul's podcast, Impulsive. And so Logan Paul was invited to be on SmackDown. He says he has a habit of opening his mouth and saying stupid stuff. He doesn't need to tell us that. We all know that. And he says that he opened his mouth before about Mayweather and didn't get put down or paid. He's issuing a challenge to Roman Reigns and he's taking the liberty of setting up a press conference tomorrow in Las Vegas. He says if Roman is man enough, he will show up and face Paul man to man. And then Paul Heyman, who hasn't been seen since he took that F5 on the announce table, and the Bloodline all come out. So before going any further, it's like, I guess this is Roman's next feud with Paul. And I would say, I don't know if WWE is still trying to make Logan Paul the babyface, but just based on the reaction that he got during this match, tells me during this promo, he's not a babyface. He's still a heel. People are still booing him. So it's going to take a lot for Logan Paul to be considered a babyface. Even in his feud with The Miz, he was not, even though WWE saw him as a babyface, the reaction he was getting was that of the heel and The Miz was a face. So in this scenario, I guess it's the same way. Like Logan Paul is being viewed as a heel and Roman as a face, even though technically Logan Paul is a face and Roman is a heel. But yeah, So Heyman introduces himself to Logan Paul. And I do apologize for the barking. And Heyman, the crowd starts to boo Logan Paul. And Heyman starts to say that if there was anyone outside of WWE that could be a Paul Heyman guy, it would be Logan Paul. Give me 1 second here. So Heyman says that he wouldn't have fought Mayweather, and because they were in Anaheim. I don't know if you guys know anything about Anaheim, but that's where Disneyland is at. So Paul Heyman makes a mouse reference, and then Paul Heyman starts to bring up Logan Paul's brother Jake Paul, who says he picked a fight with Anderson Silva, who's gonna knock him out. And he says, Paul Heyman says he doesn't care that him and his brother have changed the fight game or that they have ability. Logan Paul fires back and says that Heyman is a promoter and he knows how this goes. And he starts to say, is he afraid that the press conference he's going to challenge for the title? What if Reigns doesn't smash Paul and he lands one lucky shot and drops the tribal chief like a sack of potatoes? What if he beats Reigns for the title? Heyman says that he doesn't like what ifs, and now he has to handle Paul. And Heyman calls Solo Sikola. And Logan Paul makes a bet saying that he's going to knock Heyman out before Solo gets to him. Sami Zayn interjects. And he says that he loves and has respect for Heyman, but he isn't the right man for this job. He says maybe Reigns should have let him handle Logan Paul. And Logan Paul sucker punches Sami Zayn and loses go after Logan. I thought that was really hilarious. I mean, poor Sami Zayn, always taking one for the bloodline. But it seems like his days with the bloodline are numbered. But overall, I get what they were trying to do. But I don't know. I mean, how do you guys feel about Roman Reigns being... I mean, how do you feel about Logan Paul being Roman Reigns' next opponent? I mean, it's a special attraction match, obviously, because it's going to take place at Crown Jewel. But, you know, I really hope they don't try to put... Sami Zayn is the best. Yes, he is. Sami Zayn is the best. He's the best at what he does. So this leads into a match. It's Sami Zayn versus Ricochet. And they do the whole "we are the ones." Now, if you guys are paying attention, Michael Cole mentions that the last time Sami Zayn and Ricochet, the first time Ricochet and Sami Zayn had met each other in a match was over a decade ago in PWG. So that's not the first time they mentioned other promotions. I believe Xavier Woods mentioned Ring of Honor, New Japan. Michael Cole also had made mention of Io Sky's stable back in Japan. It's like crazy. Like, Michael Cole knows his stuff. Like, it just goes to show Vince McMahon was the reason why he was terrible on commentary. So this was actually a really good match. Of course, Logan Paul was in Ricochet's corner, and the Bloodline was in Sami Zayn's corner. So both Jimmy and Jay attempt to cause distractions during the different points in this match. Jay accidentally is distracting the ref while Sami Zayn has Ricochet pinned. And I actually like that they did that because it's adding to the story. Like, you already have Jay doesn't like Sami Zayn. He doesn't want him in the group. So this is adding to it because Sami Zayn gets mad at Jay for doing that. And Jimmy tries to defuse the situation. This allows for Ricochet to take everybody out. And then when they get back into the ring, Ricochet hits a shooting star press to Sami Zayn, and he's victorious. Now, I guess the Bloodline's about to enter the ring when Madcap Moss comes out with the chair to even up the odds. And we get a quick Karrion Kross promo where he says time decides the judgment, and last week for the chosen one, he was executed by the people's executioner. And he basically says that the biggest difference between him and Drew McIntyre is that Drew McIntyre lets things go, but he doesn't let anything go. And he goes tick-tock. So you get a maximum male model segment. Okay. They're not here for the bright lights of Hollywood. They're here to show off their back-to-school collection. And the funny part of this is when Strowman comes out, when his music plays, Montse and Monsois, their faces, like, they make these funny faces, and it's so hilarious because, like, you could instantly see that they regret being out there. And so just Strowman attacks and beats tar out of them. And then Alpha Academy comes out. Otis attacking Strowman from behind, and Otis with the world's strongest slam to Strowman. So I thought that was pretty cool. Next week we are gonna have Otis versus Strowman. I really hope they don't gimmick the ring and they make it explode like they normally do with these types of matches, because I feel like that's what's gonna happen. There's gonna be a spot where either Otis drops Strowman or Strowman drops Otis, and then the ring is gonna break. But what do you guys think? They're gonna gimmick that ring, aren't they? All right, so before the start of the next match, we actually get a damage control promo in the ring. It's Bayley, and she starts to say, "Guess who's back? Back again," which kind of reminds me of Eminem, that one, and because you know how Eminem did, "Guess who's back? Back again." So that reminds me of that. They basically start talking about how, like, because they're the women's tag team champions. They can go on any brand and do anything that they want. They destroy Raquel and put poor little Leah on the shelf. And then Raquel comes out and says she doesn't see 3 of the greatest. She only sees 3 bullies who hurt her partner. And I like that she says something in Spanish, which I thought was pretty cool. I like it when wrestlers do that. They say things in Spanish and then it incorporates them in English. But like I said, when they say things in Spanish, it doesn't directly translate to English, and it doesn't sound just as good in English. So this leads into Bayley versus Raquel Rodriguez. It was a decent match. For once, we didn't get smiley Raquel. Bayley sending her into the turnbuckle. Of course, Kai and Sky cause a distraction. But Bayley ends up being victorious with the rose plant. And then Shotzi, for some odd reason, comes out to Raquel's aid after damage control tried to attack her. So I feel like maybe now they're going to try to pair up Raquel and Shotzi since Aaliyah's out. But we'll see how that goes. All right, next we get a Ronda Rousey segment. And basically, Liv Morgan interrupts. And the gist of this is that Liv Morgan challenges Ronda Rousey to an Extreme Rules match. And Ronda laughs and says, "It's your funeral." So what my main complaint is that they haven't really, how can I say this, made Liv Morgan seem like a believable champion. She's more like an underdog champion. And I get that. But like, I just feel like her title reign hasn't really done much in her title reign. I don't know. I mean, I feel like Ronda's going to beat her at this time. I just feel like this is an Extreme Rules match. And Liv is going to have to do a lot to try to beat Ronda down. So I'm just saying. It's not Liv's fault. I don't know what's going on. But like under Vince, it wouldn't surprise me. But under Triple H, it's kind of surprising me. I'm really not liking Liv's title reign at all. So then we have a Drew McIntyre segment. It's a very, like, quick segment. He's on the announce table, and he just pretty much says that Karrion Kross finally got his attention. It's going to be 3, 2, 1, and lights out. So we get the NXT North American Championship match. It's Solo Sikoa versus Madcap Moss. Solo Sikoa defeating Carmelo Hayes this past NXT to win the North American Championship match. This was actually a decent match. And like before Solo Sikoa went out there, he picked Sami Zayn to be in his corner instead of allowing Jay or Jimmy to be out there. Again, they're building those blocks of Sami Zayn eventually getting thrown out of the bloodline. Of course, like Sami does part in causing a distraction to Moss. And so Solo Sikoa ends up winning with the spinning solo. So I knew there was no way Solo Sikoa was going to lose this match, especially because it's his first title defense, and he's a part of the bloodline. So I did not see him losing this at all. I don't know why it was, I guess because of the segment that happened earlier in the night, which is maybe why Madcap Moss was giving this match, but I didn't kind of get it why he was giving it to him in the first place. So our main event is a tag team championship fatal 4-way number 1 contenders match. It is Hit Row versus the New Day versus Imperium versus the Brawling Brutes. So this is actually a really fun match. I actually really like this. I like when Top Dollar threw Adonis onto everybody, when Kofi used Top Dollar as a springboard. At the beginning of the match was mostly Kaiser and Butch. I really like that double DDT to Butch and Adonis that Xavier Woods did. And there was this one spot that I like where Top Dollar had Butch, Xavier Woods, and Kofi, and he dropped all of them. So one of the reasons why the Viking Raiders wasn't in this match is because Michael Cole on commentary said that they're out indefinitely with injuries. I was so scared when Ridge Holland dropped Top Dollar because Ridge Holland did break Big E's neck. So I was really, really worried that something was going to happen. But thankfully, nothing happened when he dropped Top Dollar. And Imperium doing the Imperium Bomb to Kofi Kingston, but Ridge Holland stealing it. So the Brawling Brutes win this. So next week, I think they said it was next week, we're going to get the Usos versus the Brawling Brutes. I think that's the first time match, if I'm not mistaken, for the titles. Do I think the Brawling Brutes are going to win? No, but it's a nice change of pace than from the what we've gotten in the past. And hopefully they don't drag out the feud this time. So, but overall, pretty enjoyable episode of SmackDown. There really, that Maximum Most Model segment, I get it what it was done for. It was for Strowman. It was okay. Decent episode, actually. There's not really one thing that I disliked about it. That Logan Paul promo at the beginning, though, I have to say, I still think that they're trying to put him as a face. That crowd reaction should tell them otherwise. I think that if Logan Paul turns heel, it would be a much better for him, but we'll see. But overall, that concludes the SmackDown review, and I would give it an 8 out of 10. So both shows pretty decent tonight. We'll see how they do next week with the Grand Slam show. But with that being said, you guys, thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continuous support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. And I'll see you guys on Monday after Raw. Bye.